Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Bango Magazine. And on today's show, Jerry Boyce, the athletics director, will give us an update on what's going on in the department. And then Maria DePeters, the volleyball coach for the Bengals, coming off a terrific season last year, joins us, along with Kayla Pyc, her sophomore middle hitter from Grand Island. And then Jerry rejoins us, bringing along Casey Kacz, his senior quarterback. So a lot to talk about. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Jerry. Welcome back, everybody. And Jerry Boyce joins us now, the athletics director at Buffalo State. And, boss, it's always good to have you on one of the first shows of the year. And this is an interesting time, isn't it? Not only do the students come back, but obviously the student athletes come back to campus. There's about 400 of them coming into Buckham Hall now. And you must get the adrenaline flowing being the athletics director and overseeing all of this. It must be kind of a neat time for you.
It really is, Tom. It's fun to watch the and hopefully watch the preparation that took place over the course of the summer months and improvements and all those types of things, and for our student athletes to come back with this great excitement and new student athletes, approximately 210 new freshmen
there you go. That
are with us, and watching them go through the transition period of coming from home, getting to college, and going through all of that. So yeah, it's a very, very exciting time. It's a fun time.
You know, it's interesting. I want to touch on something you just said. The new students coming. A lot of people don't really realize the impact that athletics has on the overall enrollment management, as they call it, on campus. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, that's one of the great benefits any athletics department has on a college campus is enrollment.
Mm-hmm.
Besides the recruiters in the admissions office, our coaches are recruiters, and that's really their biggest part of their job, is bringing these new students to Buffalo State, and they come to Buffalo State for reasons.
That's right.
Number one, yes, the academic piece. We have what their major is, and the whole aspect of what the major brings to them, the facilities on campus, that recruitment part. But a lot of times those things are equal.
Right.
So the kids who come to Buffalo State come because of the athletics program that they're interested in, and primarily the coach that recruited them. So we annually have anywhere from 210 to 230 new freshmen that join us. So that's I think if you talk to enrollment people, they would say that's a significant number.
Absolutely, especially in today's day and age. You know, I'm going through your bio. I do my 30 seconds of homework for this show, but I went through your bio, and I found it interesting that you became athletic director in 1999. Feels like just yesterday, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But when I mentioned that to you off camera, you kind of went, wow, really? So that's 13, 14 years, and I always ask the certain coaches, their program, their state of their program. How do you feel the program is at Buffalo State, your program now after 14 years of overseeing it?
Well, I'll talk a little bit like a coach. I see great potential, Tom. We've had a number of new hires in the past 8 months, really, and I am just thrilled with what I see with those new hires and how they have come in and messed with the department and the staff, and the great support that our coaches give each other, along with the support staff behind the scenes. So I'm delighted with what I feel is the potential that we have for a great season.
And we're moving into one of those potentials soon, and that's Houston Gym. We've been giving the viewers a little update every now and then on Houston Gym. We're basically under a year now before we move in. Can you give us any updates on the progress of Houston Gym right now?
Well, I guess the only thing I can say is progress, Tom.
Yeah.
They say that everything is right on task. If that's true, then during the months of June, July, August, this next year, we'll be moving back into our home. So have a couple site visits, and you see the progress that is going on, and it just gets you excited for what is down the road.
Absolutely. And in that, you've been here 13, 14 years. Where do you see the next 5, 6 years? What's your vision for the athletics program in the next 5 or 6 years, boss?
Well, Tom, I'm anxious to watch it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Because I think our vision and along with our mission are well established. And for me, the players are in place. And that's like a coach talking about recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
Here in the staff, it's the coaches, head coaches, assistant coaches, trainers, support people behind the scenes, facility personnel. So I see that all in place. So we have reached where I like to be.
Okay.
And now it's given those people the opportunity, the resources and things of that nature, so that they can provide this great opportunity for our student athletes to have a great experience here.
Absolutely. I do agree with that. And I'm not saying because you're sitting here, but I think all the things are certainly in place right now. We've had some personnel changes. Let's touch on a few of those. First, men's soccer. What happened with men's soccer, and who do we have on board now?
Well, Mark Howlett joined us in March.
Right.
After a national search, and just delighted with what he has done so far to really, the big task is change the culture of our men's soccer program, and that is, he's on task with that. With that, we will see a change.
Mm-hmm.
We will see a change in the success of that program.
I think men's soccer is one of those programs that had such a rich history and tradition at Buffalo State, and it's very big in the area too. And it's one of those programs that I think, if I can speak for you, we want to see kind of flourish again and should flourish again.
Absolutely. When you talk about that history, former athletic director and head men's soccer coach Fred Hartrig just had a tremendous career playing at what was then called the college division.
That's right.
And that was a mix of what are now Division II, even I and III. So a great history there, and I want to see that repeat itself.
And then we have a new coach in the women's hockey office too.
Candace Moxley joined us after 3 years as an assistant at The Ohio State
Yes.
Universities, and just her enthusiasm and her putting her staff together, and what she has done, great enthusiasm with
Right.
that program.
Former player at Niagara University who's very familiar with this area. And then we've got about a minute and a half left. We've brought on somebody to help with the recreation intramural program, and I know that's a very big area for you as we look to the experience of all of our students, and that was Chris Hellman. Why don't you expand on that, if you can, in about a minute?
Well, that was a big part of a drive that we needed to be able to expand, and more so to do both.
Right.
Expand, but to enhance the quality of for our students at Buffalo State, particularly with the addition of the new dorm, 500 more beds on campus, potentially of maybe more even down the road, that we want to make sure that we have activities for those kids that want to be involved,
Right.
Whether it be recreational or at the next level with intramurals. So that's a big part of my charge as the Director of Athletics, is the intramural and recreation program, so that there's activities going on over there, and gives the students a chance to be involved and have things to do.
No, absolutely. And, you know, it's not only the total experience for our student athletes, but it's a total experience for all the students on campus. And recreation intramurals comes underneath that umbrella. Jerry, thanks very much for being on. We're going to see you a little later in the show. But right now we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Maria DePeters, women's volleyball, joins us. Stay with us. Well, we hope you can join us for the annual Athletics Hall of Fame induction ceremony Friday, September 27th at 6:30 p.m. And we're inducting 6 folks this year. John Maddie, the offensive lineman for the football Bengals. Janelle Oroz, who was a terrific track and field standout. Mario Hicks, also from track and field. Chris Fuller, former basketball player. And soccer player Ray Perez. All will be inducted. And then in the honorary category, Joe Odessa will be inducted, a former coach and administrator. So again, the Hall of Fame induction ceremony Friday, September 27th at 6:30. If you'd like to come, please give me a call at 878-6514 or send me an email at the address listed on your television screen right now. Love to see you at the Athletics Hall of Fame ceremony on September 27th. So we're going to now join in with women's volleyball. Maria DePeters joins us along with Kayla Pyc, her sophomore middle hitter from Grand Island, a former Viking. So I'm assuming you're a former Viking?
Correct.
You did your volleyball at Grand Island. I thought maybe it could have been a private school. Who knows? But Maria, you know, I want to go back to last year because last year was awesome. We have not seen a volleyball season like that at Buffalo State in years and years and years. Some would say never. 26-8 overall. You moved to the conference championship game for a right to get to the NCAAs. That was magical. And I mean, when you reflect back on that, what do you remember most? What are the best things of 2012?
I guess it would be the girls' work ethic and their determination.
You brought that up a couple times.
Yeah, they really worked hard through everything. They knew that they had to play for every point, every set, every match, everything counted. Mm-hmm. And they just, every drill they really pushed through, and they pushed each other really, really hard. And they knew what they wanted to accomplish last year, and they went out and they did it. And that's why it was so great. It was just really awesome to see what we do as coaching staff take place on the court.
Yeah.
And that's the best part of coaching is, you know, the girls actually registering what we're saying and putting it into action.
How that translate onto the court.
Yeah.
This young lady next to you was probably one of those fun moments for you. I mean, she came as a freshman. I'm not sure if you expected what you got out of her, but she was a starter. Was she a magical moment for you?
Kayla is a fun moment. Everything she is fun. That's just who she is. She is supportive to not only the coaching staff, but obviously to her teammates, but she always has a smile on her face. And I knew I coached Kayla when she was younger in club, so I knew exactly what Kayla would bring to this team. And she brings excitement and joy and, like we said, happiness, and she really stepped up her freshman year. By the end of her freshman year, she was a different player.
I was about to say, I mean, let's talk about on court. Did anything surprise you last year? You ended up second on the team in blocks. Were you expecting to make such an impact your freshman year?
I mean, I came into the season and it was like I had nothing to lose. So it was whatever happened kind of feeling.
And that was a cool thing of what happened.
Yeah.
How do you take what happened last year and move that, translate that into 2013? Because most of the ladies are back. Or do you just say, hey, sorry, that was last year. We're in 2013, but there are bits and pieces that you can move over?
Yeah, there's definitely bits and pieces you can move over, but that's exactly what we're going to do. Last year was last year, and this year is just a completely different year because last year we were looked at still as an underdog.
Right.
Well, now this year we're not looked at as an underdog. We went to the conference finals. We had a 26-8 season, so we have a target on our back now. So we have to play even harder than we did last year. That's just not even an option to just sit back and think that we can't work as hard. And also, the SUNY conference has changed, where last year and several years previous, it was SUNY West and SUNY East. Well, now we're playing everyone in the conference.
That's
that dynamic of rivalries in the conference is now every single team is a rivalry, not just four.
Right. The 2013 season, anticipation, because everybody's back, do you sense, or most everybody, do you sense this being an anticipated season? Are the women looking forward to this season, especially what happened last season?
Definitely. Everyone wants to be out on the court playing. I mean, we'd rather do that than practice because it's where we go all out.
Yeah.
It's our time to shine kind of thing.
I bet you couldn't wait for training camp to start.
Yeah, I couldn't. I was a little nervous, but I couldn't wait for it to start because when the girls aren't there, it's kind of like you miss them so much. You feel a little incomplete.
Well, tell us a little bit about the roster, the season this year. Who can we look forward to watching?
Yeah, every one of my starters is returning except for one. Sherelle McLean graduated last year. As seniors, we have Kelsey Bayshore, who's our senior setter, Chelsea Moore, who is our libero, and Sarah Horvath, who's an outside. So there are three key players on our roster. Hannah Ronaldo is our outside hitter, who was Rookie of the Year last year in the conference, and Kayla in the middle. So we have a lot of other really great additions to the team, but those are a couple big players that were on the court last year that will be on the court this year.
Kayla, what are you looking to do individually with this season? You've got one under your belt now, and as a freshman you played extensively. How do you take that and carry that into your sophomore year? What are you looking to do?
I guess we don't have many new players this year, so it's becoming closer with the players we have now.
Okay.
It's learning to communicate on and off the court constantly.
And Coach, strategizing with her, what if you were to sit down in your coach's office and say, Kayla, here's what we need you to do this year, what would she need to do?
Kayla has to mentally push herself every practice because she is that starting position. Sometimes when you have that starting position, you can almost just kind of sit back, but she just has to keep pushing herself because she can be a 10 times better player than she is today, and she is a better player today than she was last year. So she's just that inner drive of always wanting to get better.
Okay, let's talk about a little bit about the schedule because it's interesting, and I don't know if you agree with this. We talked a little off camera. The schedule in volleyball, to me, it seems like everything just kind of funnels down to that final SUNY tournament. And do you work the schedule like that toward the end, the last tournament to get to the NCAAs?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, everything in our schedule is put together for a reason. But in volleyball, we have 3 or 4 weeks before we even get into our conference play. So those games are really preparing us for the SUNYACs.
Okay.
And obviously, if we don't make the playoffs, we can't compete in them. But we take the top 6, and we should be playing our best volleyball by the end of the year. So you really have a couple weeks in volleyball to get your team where it needs to be by the end of the season.
Well, I wish you ladies the best of luck. Thanks for being on the show. We'll have you back in a few weeks to get an update.
And happy birthday, Tom.
I'm a young 55, Coach DePeters. I'm a young 55. Thank you very much. Good luck this season. Thanks for being on the show. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Jerry Boyce and Casey Kacz are going to talk a little football with us. Stay tuned. Well, congratulations going out to Anthony Appiani. He is the Tim Hortons Athlete of the Week. Anthony, a senior defender, popped in the game-winning goal in overtime in a 2-1 win over Pitt Greensburg. And then the economics major, because he is a defender, anchored the defense. It allowed only 3 shots in 110 minutes in a scoreless tie against Grove City. So congratulations to Anthony Appiani. He is this week's Tim Hortons Athlete of the Week. And we're welcomed again by Jerry Boyce, now the football coach at Buffalo State, and he's bringing along Casey Kacz, his senior quarterback. And gentlemen, welcome. This is an interesting season for a lot of different reasons. As I look at this, and I don't know, I've been on campus now for 13, 14 years, and certainly for me, the most anticipated football season that I can remember. And I'm wondering if you feel the same way, Jerry, and maybe the most anticipated football season in probably a couple decades. You've been around long enough. How do you see this season?
I will agree with you, Tom.
Okay.
There's a natural progression with any athletic team. But in football, it's not an overnight process as you build a team. You're talking when you put in the punters and kickers, 24 starters out there, and from a recruiting standpoint, 1 or 2 are not going to turn the tide. So it takes this process. There's a normal team building process. Sometimes you'd like to see it come along a little bit faster than others, but we're there. Tom, and I mean that.
Yeah, you say that rather adamantly, that, and that's kind of unusual for coach speak to come out and say something like that as a former sports writer, but you feel that strongly about this team, and do you feel that strongly about this team as a student athlete and the quarterback?
I definitely do. This summer we put in a lot of work. The past couple of seasons have been leading up to this, and I think everyone's ready, just anxious for the first game. Okay.
Quantifying everything, playoffs or bust type of season, Jerry?
Well, that's an interesting, but that certainly is my expectation, Tom. I don't hope that we make playoffs. I fully expect to, and I believe that things are in place. It always comes down to your play on a Saturday afternoon and the execution of those plays, and that It comes down to the player's shoulder pads, you might say. I haven't seen a coach make a tackle or throw a ball or catch a ball yet.
Right.
That is on the onus of the players. So it always comes down to that time.
Right.
But yeah, I have very high expectations.
Well, you're hearing this, and you are the senior leader of that offense. You don't make any tackles unless you throw an interception, which you're not going to. No. But I mean, that's hefty comments from your coach to a senior quarterback. And how do you prepare for this season? You must feel a little weight on your shoulders, and how are you handling all that?
Well, there's a little bit, but luckily there's teammates that take some of it off of me. We got some great seniors that have been here, been through the process of losing, and now I think they're ready to win. And when you got guys next to you making plays, our running backs are great receivers, linemen, our defense is really great. It takes a lot of pressure off my shoulders and just lets me just play, and I can rely on my teammates a lot more.
I want to reflect a little bit on last season and maybe relate it to this season. The big win over Wisconsin Whitewater, and then kind of went downhill and then got it back again. What do you take from last year? Do you just say last year was last year, or do you take things from last year and move them into this year at all, Jerry?
Well, I think a little bit of both, Tom, but this is a new season.
Okay.
A whole different personality from the leaders and things of that nature. Last year certainly showed what our capabilities are, but we did have that middle season.
Slide.
We had what I call that yo-yo season. Mm-hmm. First time I've ever had anything like that, where we had such great victories and some disappointing losses along the way. So now the challenge is to stay at that level throughout.
Okay.
You can't have a great victory and then say, oh, okay, we're there, and forget the hard work and the effort that goes into each Saturday. So hopefully the players take last year with a resolve that won't happen again.
Casey, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about you individually. I know it is a team game, and there's 11 guys on offense, 11 on defense, 11 on special teams, and blah, blah, blah. And yet certain things have to happen, and they start offensively with you. Mm-hmm. Pretty good year last year, 131 passing efficiency rating, 11 touchdowns, 56% completions. Where do you see your game taking the next step? Where do you see you having to do something to move this program forward this year?
There was a lot of plays last year where we might have been in the wrong play, and I kind of had to make something happen, or rely on someone else to make something happen. And now I think just mentally, I understand everything so much better this year and throughout this camp, that the plays that we're going to run are going to be able to work every single time instead of kind of calling some iffy plays. I think play calling will be a lot better this year from my standpoint. Running the offense will be more smoothly, so we will be in the right plays every time, so those plays should work a little better. And
he has that flexibility in your system to be able to get to the line of scrimmage and go, not sure about this, let's check off and do something else. And that one more year will help him do that?
Absolutely, Tom. A little bit old-fashioned in some ways. I look at a quarterback as a true quarterback. Some people look at it as a position that where this guy can throw and run, but a quarterback is a leader. And I throw everything on the shoulders of our quarterbacks to do that. So they have the playbook in their pocket when they walk up the line of scrimmage, and can audibilize. There's a lot of times that, quite frankly, Casey's got the whole thing right there because we haven't called the play. Former quarterback where I called plays out on the field, and I want that. Who better to call plays than the person out on the field? I'm on the sidelines. I can't see that well. We're getting some hop from up top, but here's a guy that's right there. And when he knows, has this great grasp of our offense, as Casey does, quite frankly, only good things are going to happen.
Now, I want to mention quickly, we've got a couple minutes left with the Empire 8, moving into the Empire 8. Tell our viewers about the Empire 8 and why is it's so exciting to go back to those type of teams.
Well, it's exciting to go back there because it's New York State schools.
Sure.
And we're playing people down the road instead of traveling to another state and traveling past all these people. But I will say this, the Empire 8, I would argue, is one of the top conferences in Division III football.
Right. Well, once again, you open up at Cortland and then back here against Brockport on September 14th. That is a 2 o'clock game at Coyer Field, not noon, 2 o'clock game on the 14th against Brockport. 3 straight home games, 9:21 noon versus Wisconsin Whitewater. And then Ithaca comes in on homecoming on September 28th, and that's a noon game too. So, gentlemen, best of luck this season. Thanks for being on the show. We're going to wrap it up here at Bengal Magazine. Thanks to everybody in Instructional Resources, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks for more Bengal Magazine.